Hi, second graders. Today we are on Skills Unit 3, Lesson 22. Our learning targets, we will be searching for verbs and nouns and sentences, and we will be planning and drafting a personal narrative all together as a class using an experience, most likely from first grade, but that's okay. I'm going to show you some sentences, and you're going to help find the noun and action verb in each sentence. Remember, you can pause the video if you need more think time. This sentence says, clap your hands. Which word is the noun and which word is the action verb? Remember, an action verb is something that you do. The noun is hands and the action verb is clap. Stomp your feet. Which word's the noun? Which word's the action verb? Feet is a noun because they are a thing. Stomp is a verb because it's something that you do. Shake your head. Which word's the noun and which word's the action verb? Head is a noun because it is a thing. Shake is a verb because it's something that you do. Blink your eyes. Go ahead. What is the noun? What is the action verb? Our noun is the word eyes. They are things. And our action verb is blink, something that you do. Wiggle your fingers. Our action verb is wiggle, and our noun is fingers. Good. Now let's look at this sentence. Very short sentence, but still a sentence. Boys run. Who is the sentence about? It's about boys. What part of speech is that? Boys are nouns. They are people. Run is an action verb because it's something that you do. Is the word boys singular, meaning only one, or plural, meaning more than one? It's plural. We would say that a word that shows an action is called an action verb. Oops. This sentence, a little bit longer, but still a short sentence, says, James runs away. Who is the sentence about? It's about James. In what part of speech is James? James is a noun. Not just any old noun. James is a proper noun. Our action verb, the thing that he does in the sentence, is the word runs. Is James singular or plural? This one's a little tricky. James ends in S. But does that mean there's only one James? Or does that mean that there's lots of Jameses? There's only one. So James, even though it ends in an S, is still singular. It's only one boy. This word that's underlined in our squiggly line is the word runs, and that is an action verb. Let's look for proper nouns and verbs in a couple more sentences. Jake rides his bike. What is our proper noun? Jake is our proper noun. Good. And what is the action verb? The word that means he did something. Our action verb would be rides. Bike is also a noun, but remember we're looking for proper nouns, specific names of people, places, or things. David jumps on the mat. Our proper noun is David, and our action verb is jumps. On worksheet 22.1 inside your skills workbook, you will continue to practice these, and I pulled some of those for your Google form as well. We are going to move on to the next section of the lesson, which is all about the writing process. Now, in yesterday's lesson, what we did is we looked at a story called The Big Storm, and we analyzed it. We pulled out the characters, the setting, and the plot on a planning page, and that was to help you prepare to plan your own personal narrative. We're going to be working together in planning a personal narrative as a group today so that you can do your own in the future. So we've been learning about different elements of a personal narrative, and we looked at a personal narrative written by, it wasn't one of our classmates, but a student who wasn't much older than you. How is this personal narrative like a fictional story? Personal narratives and fictional stories have the same story elements. So even though a personal narrative is a true story about your life, and a fictional story is made up, they both have the same story elements. They both have titles, they both have settings, they both have characters, and they both have plots using first, next, then, last. We're going to work together to plan a personal narrative. Our first step in the writing process chart is to make a plan. And we're going to use a planning template to plan our personal narrative together. We're going to pick an event that has happened. It's not something that happened recently, but this year is a little bit different. We don't have as many shared experiences. So what we're going to do is pretend to write about a class field trip to Wonderworks. And I know lots of you have been there before on a field trip. Maybe not everybody, but that's okay. So we want to think about what details we remember. We can write about this together because most of us have experienced this event. We would write a personal narrative using the word I because personal narratives are usually a story written all about yourself. To stay true to the personal narrative, we're going to pretend that it's one of the students from the class speaking, so we will use I. And I'm going to switch over here. So I want you to think about characters from a field trip to Wonderworks. We would start out, we would say myself, right? This is a personal narrative, so you, your teacher, and your classmates. Maybe a parent went with you, maybe there were other teachers there, but we're going to keep those three for right now. So myself, my teacher, and my classmates. When we think about a setting, we think about where and when the story took place. So where were we? We were at school. We were on a school bus. We were at Wonderworks. Okay? It was daytime. Normally, second grade goes to Wonderworks in December, so we can pretend. We can pretend that it was December in our story as well. Okay? When we talk about our plot, we think about what happened in the beginning of our narrative story, what happened in the middle, and what happened at the end. Now, if I'm writing a story about a field trip to Wonderworks, I'm not going to start out by saying how my day ended. I'm going to start out by saying how it began. So I would say something like, first, we got on our coach and boarded the school bus. Okay. In the middle, so I could say next, then, after, we arrived at Wonderworks. We reviewed the rules, right, our safety rules, then got to explore. A lot of times your middle section of your writing piece is going to be your juiciest. It's going to have the most details. So this is where you would say something like, my favorite part was the bed of nails and the bubble section. Okay, those are two parts that Miss Perrier really likes. Hopefully you like them too. So first is the beginning of my story. Next, we arrived at Wonderworks, reviewed the rules, then got to explore. My favorite part was the bed of nails in the bubble section. This is our planning page. It's okay if it's not perfect. And then at the end, I would say, finally, we came back to the school at the end of the day, and we were all, how are we feeling after the field trip? We like to use feeling words. We were all happy. Is there a word that we could use that's different than happy? We were all ecstatic and exhausted, right? We're usually really tired after that field trip. Finally, we came back to the school at the end of the day, and we were all ecstatic. We were in a super good mood, but we were also exhausted. So what we just did together is, I'll zoom out a little bit, we just planned our own personal narrative as a class, okay? When you plan your personal narrative, it's going to be about an event that you had in your life, but this is something that most of us have experienced at one point or another. So we didn't think of a title. We can be thinking of that inside our heads. We did answer our 5 questions. We listed our characters. We listed what happened, our plot, right? The beginning, middle, and end. We told when it happened and where it happened. We didn't say why it happened, so that's something that we could add to when we work on our draft. So our next stage of writing is our drafting stage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the pieces from my planning page and put them into sentences. After that's done, the next step in tomorrow's lesson is going to be to edit our writing or improve it, check for capitalization, punctuation, spelling, ideas, juicy words, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to take our planning sheet and type it into a paragraph so that tomorrow we can edit. Okay? So we did plan. We're working on draft. Before we say that we're all finished with our draft, we have to make sure that we answered all 5 of our W questions. Who, what, when, where, and why. Okay? So we worked on planning. Drafting is up to you, and next time you are going to work on your own personal narrative. So I want you to be thinking about what's something that happened in your life that you might be able to write about. Okay? So that could be a field trip that you went on. That could be a holiday or a birthday. It could be a family vacation that you went on. It could be a time when you got a new game to play or you learned how to play a new game. It can even be a story about a regular old day. So be thinking about what you might like to write for your personal narrative. That's all for today. Make sure you complete your Google form and ask for help if you need it. Great work today. We'll keep going with our writing tomorrow.